Maybe a happy new year for some, but an unhappy new year for others. Hey everybody, Scott Walters, welcome into the channel. If you're new, I want to thank you for coming. If you're returning, I want to thank you for your continued support. Before we get into today's red hot topic, I'm going to politely ask you to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment below. I would love to hear from you. Please watch to the end for my final thought. Hit the bell icon so you're notified when new videos are released. It's very important to stay close to the channel in these very tricky times. All right, folks, welcome into the channel today. I hope you're all doing great and enjoying your holiday season. So we have to take a very hard-hitting deep dive into reality today, folks, and that's one of the things that's become so hard to cut through the chatter and actually understand what's reality and what's not. And folks, I mean, again, coming up for air. Listen, folks, the reality is that we cannot believe anything that's handed down from mainstream media and big government anymore. Big government is now turned in, and I hate to say it, a reality TV show, a popularity contest. We can barely believe anything that's handed down anymore. The fake news, the big, big media, big tech, big government, it's all being controlled. We're looking to people on YouTube that are in the industry that are actually giving honest reports and temperature checks of what in fact is going on. Personally, folks, I stopped watching the news many years ago. I rarely watch the news anymore unless it's a big event. I typically do not watch morning news. I don't watch evening news unless there's some big event or it's on YouTube. I personally just don't check in on it anymore because I don't believe it. I don't want to say disgusted, but for lack of a better choice of words, I'm borderline disgusted with politics right now, with our current government. It is all just one big dog and pony show, all just manufactured and derived. We can't even believe our federal government anymore with words like transitory and just everything. It's so clear for me. It's so crystal clear. I mean, again, folks, we really have to look at, and again, we're going to talk about, this is going to be a great new year for some people and potentially not so good for others. And the reality is, folks, is that we have injected in so much money into our economy. We've placed it into a bubble, and anytime we create bubbles, it becomes volatile. And anytime it becomes volatile, it has crash risk, folks. And I hate to say it, I'm a real estate agent. I can't believe some of the things I saw when this economy did what it did. The buyers sight unseen, buying virtually, iBuyers popping up. This is the most unnatural real estate market ever produced. And the reality is, folks, as a boots on the ground agent, I'm going to tell you right now, buyers are getting smart. They are not willing to buy stuff sight unseen anymore. Even the iBuyer space that really gave that whole movement life, they're not even doing it anymore. Big investors are reducing their positions in this market. It can't sustain itself. But with the retail investors that are all in these markets right now, just hanging on every opening of the stock market and coming in and trying to speculate. It has been such a casino-like atmosphere with our stock market. And that, my friends, I just don't, it's shocking to me. It's just shocking because that cannot sustain itself. We are one trending headline away from a complete market crash. And as soon as that market crashes, it's going to take a lot of other areas along with it, including the housing market. Listen, friends, many people bought in at the height of the market, overpaying for properties, waiving contingencies. And that means they did not order inspections, or at least if they did, they bought it regardless of what the report came back with. And the reality is, when you waive all your contingencies, inspections, title reports, that is the biggest roll of the dice. So what we saw is a bunch of people buy at the height, overpay to do it. Then now they're saddled with these properties that need renovations. The reality is, though, is because all of this funny money that was injected, we have all this false sense of wealth right now. And that buzz, that will wear off. There will be blowback. The dust will settle. We will pay the piper. These are the most vulnerable people, the people that played it safe, the people that removed themselves from the chatter. And again, I'm a sales guy and I sold tons of property. I'm still callers every day. I'm working with people, but they're getting smarter. My buyers are getting much smarter, asking me like, why has this property been on the market, so long? When I say so long, I'm talking like if it's 20 days on market, people are like, that's a long time. I remember having listings. It'd take a year to get them off the market. I just talked to an agent today. They have a property right now on the market over 6 months. People are wisening up. People are starting to wake up and smell the coffee. The euphoria is wearing off, and like I've always talked about, comes down to psychology, the psychology of people. And what we saw in the height of the buying euphoria was herd mentality. And I got to tell you folks, like I've always said, this has a lot of echoes of 2008 in terms of herd mentality. Everybody was buying. Before the Great Recession of '08, it was the Great Depression of the 1929 or whatever it was, the same exact thing. Herd mentality, people pouring into the stock market. And the reality is, folks, is that depressions cycle every 100 years, and we have the perfect scenario to repeat the Great Depression again right now, because it's been about 100 years since we've had one, and the stock market is rhyming what happened in the Great Depression. Coming up for air again. This is insanity to me. So like I said, folks, the reality is that some people are going to have a great new year. Other people may not, because as we introduce tapering and interest rate hikes, we're going to see this take a bite out of an already slowing market. And like we've seen before, one shift in any newsworthy event, one shift in people's mindsets could landslide this market, and all of a sudden sellers start trying to come on and capitalize on any of these ridiculous gains that they received in their real estate. And that's just exactly what's going on. I hope you all understand that. So as buyers wisen up, and they're not willing to buy property sight unseen, they're not ready to waive contingencies, they're getting more of a normalized, and the reality is that's a cool down. While it might seem minimal, it is a cool down, and that's what we saw in 2008. It was a very slight cool down, and then what came next was a real estate crash. So the reality is, folks, nobody's can get a proper temperature check on this market. There's going to be a lot of people telling you that they can, and based on supply and demand, and nothing will make sense in this next downturn. No one will see it coming. Nobody ever has. The only people that have are people like Michael Burry, who hedged, not hedged, he shorted the last housing market boom and won. They are the minority. The most of the people that I see right now are all the people just continuing to plow into the markets, throwing a caution to the wind, abandoning any reasonable thought process. Greed. It just comes down to greed, right? Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. So that's what we're seeing, folks. So I personally say this year is going to be the shift. This year will be the shift. I've talked about it in some past videos. I believe by the time we get to this next upcoming winter of 2022, we are going to be having a much different conversation. Don't be surprised if I'm telling you about how to do short sales, how to shop foreclosures, the process, investment properties, how to obtain investment properties, the proper way to, find tenants, the proper way to place tenants, the proper way to make money in real estate. So again, folks, and like I said, we have to really be level-headed realists in this time. Earn your wealth mentality, no free handouts, no casino money, no euphoric investment markets. We have to really right now be very, very cautious. If you have money in the markets, do like the smart are doing, reduce your positions, get into safe stocks, ETFs, things like that. Be very careful on how much you're doing any stock picking and speculating right now. This is a game of musical chairs. Eventually the music will stop. Somebody, which is a ton of retail investors right now, are going to get caught with their pants down, and then it's going to cause contagion, and we're going to see a euphoric dumping spree take place. I can almost guarantee it. I can sense it. I can feel it. I know you can too. And like I said, no one will make sense of this next one. It's just going to come like a thief in the night. So if you appreciate the content, please do me a favor and give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment below. I'll see you on the next video.